All right. Let's see who we all get to come on here and hang out. Just testing a couple things here. See if I can get this music to shut off. It's my friends. So the music that you were hearing there is my friends Leo and Jay. They're both good fishing buddies too. The song is actually about fishing Oregon rivers, and so I hit him up. I was like, "Hey, where can I download this?" And Leo shot back. He's like, "Here, man, go to our band camp." So the name of their band is Breezy the Band, and they're out of Portland here. Great band, super cool guys. But anyways, hopefully we get a few people to pop in here pretty quick. It's 7:01. Hopefully we can give this a test and see who comes around and what's going on here. So we'll see who decides that they want to come in and visit. I put out the post here about 15 minutes ago, so hopefully a few folks jump in. I'm just popping over to my side over here, checking some stuff out and seeing if we got anybody stopping by. So I was going to actually plan on using the opportunity during this live stream to be able to talk to some folks in person and do all that good stuff. Also talk a little bit about sturgeon fishing because I just released that sturgeon video and I get a lot of questions about, what do I do? How do I look for sturgeon spots? All that kind of stuff. So hopefully everybody that can see this live stream going on, they can pop in here and start asking some questions. So plus I want to know if this is working out the way it's supposed to work out. So that would be super cool. Uh, Getting, like I said, learning StreamYard currently. And I'm going to hide the current banner because I just looked at it and I noticed that it was popped up there. So hopefully, there again, we get a few folks popping in and we get all the good stuff going. Just doing some testing and we're looking good here. All right. Well, if nothing else, and we don't get anybody to pop in here, I'm going to talk a little bit anyways, and we'll see who comes in, who posts comments. If you're coming into it, please hit the like and join in on the conversation here. I'd love to fill anybody in that I can. I see that we got 1010, so maybe people are finishing up dinner or whatever else. But let's talk a little bit about some sturgeon fishing and what I've been doing lately. So I've been taking a lot of notes on sturgeon because I've been really focused on sturgeon. Not that I don't want to steelhead fish, but just through time, I've learned the times that are the best to really have the highest likelihood of hooking up on a fish. And I've been examining, going back, like, when did we have our epic days? When did we get into the most fish? What was going on there? And one of the big things was that I looked at weather really close because the days that we really got into the fish good, we had the fish parked on the bottom. And we could see them marking on the bottom on sonar. And you don't even have to have that complicated a sonar to see that, but we could see the fish parked on the bottom. And I went back and I was like, why on one day I go to this spot and I have streaks zooming across my sonar with these fish, sitting 75, 80 feet, sometimes 40 or 50 feet at that, depending on what they're doing, if they're migrating or if they're feeding or whatever else. And so I started noting barometric pressure as being key. And as you know, right now, for any of you that are in the Pacific Northwest as of January 12th, you know that we have a winter storm warning going into effect tomorrow, and that we have a low pressure system offshore. The barometric pressure ranges in atmosphere. So it can be like at the 550 millibar or 850 millibar or whatever. But I just look at general barometric pressure. And every time we have a strong low come in, the bite just goes on fire. And it kind of defies convention because people, say, well, 30, flatline 30. Great, that works good. I've noticed that 30 and under have been my most productive sturgeon fishing days. That's when I've seen sturgeon roll. That's when I've seen them on the bottom. And that's when they've been biting and hooking up. And sometimes they're fully engulfing. That's just what they're doing. We just got done with this whole retention season thing out on the Columbia, which that was a flash in the pan. Those types of fisheries don't interest me personally. Not that I wouldn't want to keep a sturgeon or eat a sturgeon. They're absolutely delicious, and it's been years since I've had a sturgeon. But just the amount of pressure and the combat and everything else, I would rather catch and release and have a decent amount of river to do that in, where everybody's got enough space if they want to go out and play around with sturgeon for a day. That's great. But that day I was thinking, man, they're going to have a hard time getting on those fish, but they really didn't. That day I looked at barometric pressure and I was like, I don't know if they're going to actually limit out today or if they're going to find piles of fish or what's going to happen. Well, when you put that many boats out and there's that much food source, I don't know if having all of that food source available really had a big impact on that. So there's some of that kind of came along with that. So that was something that was like, okay, so is it really barometric pressure or is it just right place, right time? Are we talking about migratory sturgeon or resident sturgeon? There's no way to really tell a difference. I mean, some people are like, oh yeah, those ones are really white. They just came out of the salt. I could see that, but I'm not seeing like telltale signs of like sea lice, like what we would get on salmon or steelhead. Nothing like that. So it was kind of strange, but early in the season, it was like lights out, just bang, bang, bang. Everybody's coho fishing for these extremely lockjaw fish. And I was like, yeah, I got enough salmon in the freezer. I'm just going to go have fun and just started slamming sturgeon and nobody else was doing it. It was perfect. I was like, so I could go out and combat fish a river for 12 hours, or I could go catch 6 or 7 sturgeon in a matter of 4 hours, 5 hours. And I thought, well, I'm going to focus on that. But then I go back and look at those days and the barometric pressure was high. So none of this stuff really makes a bunch of sense here. So I've noticed that. Today I looked at the barometric pressure, got a nice 4-footer this morning, and it was running at 30.07 millibar, which there again, that redefined. So is it really, if the fish are on a feed, we have a new moon cycle, we have dropping temperatures, everything else. Are they on a feed, or are they just kind of, they're there, they're snapping? Is that what's going on? But that's, that's one of those things in the mix of that. So I've been looking at weather quite a bit. My most productive days have been when the pressure's been low. So when I say low, under 30 millibar, that's been my most productive. Now, as far as baits go, that really changed a whole bunch. And so started out with the good old classic sand shrimp, night crawlers, pickled squid, all that stuff, and work like a charm. Everything loves a sand shrimp. I don't care if it's a steelhead. I don't care if it's a salmon, a sturgeon. Everything loves a sand shrimp. And so the sand shrimp were doing extremely well. Go get your little Chinese food box of sand shrimp. Off you go to the river, some magic thread, or if you, like me, don't like to mess with magic thread, just egg looping it on the Dacron, pitching it out there. If you got enough fish available, it's not going to take too long for them to find it and suck it up. Now, about the end of October, that changed. It went from a sand shrimp, nightcrawler, squid, pickled squid, fresh squid, whatever, that kind of traditional bite, shifted over to fish. And so herring and anchovy and smelt, that was the main menu choice there. And so it was kind of interesting to see how that shifted around at that point in the season. Now, as far as that specific timing, I don't know what was going on there, but what I did notice was mid-November into mid-December was really, we had this big level bite, and then it went, and it just dropped a lot. And so went from, I'm going to go out there and get sturgeon to not getting anything, or, maybe turning one up. And it's been that way for quite a while, until about 3 weeks ago, when in the last video we went out and we just laid into the fish. But my good friend Dave, Fishing Products Dave, he was out hunting hard. He was hunting real hard, and so was I. And we're both like, man, we don't know what is going on. We went to one of our spots that we really like and we've done really well at, and it was absolutely nothing. It was just blank, blank, blank. And he took off because he's got the nice sled. He can move around the river really fast. I just got the little tiny drift boat with the 8-horse motor. So I don't have as much range as he does. I can get there. It just takes 10 years to get there. So he took off. He starts looking around. He's like, I can't find these fish anywhere. I don't know where they're at. And we just had a really perplexing couple weeks. And then he got back on him in another spot. And it was like, okay, let's give it a shot there. And so that area has been consistently producing fish each trip. But I decided to go to some of the more traditional spots where, traditionally speaking, and when I say traditional, these have been fished for, 50, 60, 70 years for the same fish, because the bottom structure hasn't changed that much in the river to warrant saying, well, it's no longer a thing. Hey, Earl, how's it going? Glad you popped in here. So that bottom structure just kind of never changes. So I went to these traditional spots where nothing had really been turning over at a real high rate. And I went back out, pursued those fish there. I think we are, Earl. I think we're all alone. I put out a little message, and because I am new to this, unlike yourself, who is a seasoned veteran of these lives, my reach is a little bit limited as far as getting folks to pop in on the live. So I've been rambling into a blank screen for the last 15 minutes, but hopefully people will come back and watch it later. So yeah, I've been looking at that. So I go to these traditional sturgeon fishing spots where it's like, it's deep. Oh, is there a lot of people live? I didn't know what a good time to pick to go live was. So I'm I was like, oh, I'm going to go live. I'll give it a shot for 20 minutes, make sure StreamYard's working. Thank you for popping in, Earl, and verifying that I'm not just talking into outer space here. I think I'm going to have to find a different night to go live. It's tough with my work schedule on all those other ones. Oh yeah, no, that's what I'm doing. I'm just doing it. And, like I said, hopefully somebody's sitting out there in the snow and ice. You're going to get iced. You're going to get so much ice there. It's going to be crazy. it's going to be pretty bad down in your area. I think they're predicting an inch to inch and a quarter of ice, something to that effect. It's going to be a lot. So like I said, I was just rambling about sturgeon fishing and some of that stuff. Yeah, it's going to get bad. So I go to these traditional spots. Nobody's catching anything. Well, I go down there Sunday and I rig up a whole herring. Everybody else, sand, shrimp, and night crawlers. And they have a tent, like a little sports canopy set up and a fire going. And I believe that they were all drinking uncopiously, but who cares? It's a Sunday afternoon. Let them do their thing. They weren't bothering me. Well, half hour later, my rod goes like that. And I was like, well, it's going to be one of two or one of three fish. It's going to be a catfish, a pike minnow, or something else. And I set the hook on it and it makes a massive run. I'm like, hey, it's a sturgeon. This is like the first sturgeon I've caught here in years. So I went back to those traditional places and decided, well, that sounds good. This morning I went back to a traditional place and produced a 4-footer. That was kind of funny because one of the steelhead guys that was plunking there, he comes and pulls up and he's like, what do you got on? I said, a pretty decent sturgeon. It ran up river. It ran down river. It did a couple barrel rolls and jumped and did all of this fun stuff. And it was a good time. And so I got him up to the bank, kind of shimmied down the rocks and snapped that picture that you probably saw in that post and everything, and turned him back loose to the wild. And I was like, that was a good Friday. That was my pre-snow fish. So I was pretty excited about it. So looks like we had 2 for a second and went back to 1, Earl. I don't know. Maybe there's some other folks drifting around. There again, don't forget to hit that thumbs up on the video. Oh, hey Derek, how's it going? Thanks for stopping in. I feel complete now. I have 2 people on. But yeah, that's kind of the thing. It's funny though, because yeah. So we got good stuff. Man. So yeah, I was gonna talk a little bit more about the sturgeon tactics and everything else, and all that good stuff. Yeah. And it looks like Earl's actually functioning as my moderator right now. So I think I have you set up as a moderator, Earl. Let me pop into my channel here really quick and just make sure that we're good to go. Yeah, well, every time you share stuff out, Earl, it's like it goes off the charts. So, oh, let's see. I just need to make sure. I believe I have you set as a moderator. Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah, I know, Derek. Earl's the man with a plan. He's got the trapping going on. He's got the not that important. I don't know about that, Earl. You're kind of running the show around here now. I think Addicted's going to be knocking on your door pretty quick. I think those guys, you've definitely, as far as subscriber base goes, you've definitely punched over the top of a lot of people that have been doing this a long time. That's for darn sure. I mean, the thing is I think, oh no, you have Angling Addicts PNW, Nick's a great guy, fantastic guy. I think that you've passed him up. Let me look. Like I said, it's not like a competition or a race or anything. Oh no, sorry, you got a little ways to go. He's at 26.4K subscribers. Yeah, the consistency is huge. It was all good until the nutria sausage. I can appreciate somebody that will take a rodent and eat it, though. Because I I was talking to one of my friends about you, Earl. Actually, Cameron, the guy with the big, huge beard that is in my last sturgeon fishing video. Now, Cameron, uh, Army combat veteran, everything else, but the guy is a hunting and trapping fool. Now, he doesn't do YouTube and all that. He's a pretty subtle guy. That's the one thing is like he's pretty reserved, pretty subtle. I was like, you got to go over to my friend's channel and go watch what he did with this nutria, because what you did with it was that's the way I would do it. Just shoot it with the marinade, fry it, eat it. And it looked good. It looked like really good meat. But I guess the Louisiana Department of Fish and Game or Natural Resources, whatever they have down there, their ODFW equivalent, they actually have recipes on their website on how to prepare nutria. And I've never went and verified that, but we always thought when we were out duck hunting, we said, one day we're going to just shoot one of these things and pick all the pellets out of it and take that thing home. So it's close to chicken. That's, I got to try that. I definitely have to try that. I'm game to try anything though. I'll eat anything once. If I end up with worms or something like that, then yes, I guess I'll learn my lesson. But as long as you cook everything thoroughly, you shouldn't end up with worms. So, I don't think nutria would be a wormy animal anyways. They're not like bears, Yeah, I know. I want to come down there and do that. I probably need to take my 17 HMR to the range though, and just make sure everything's sighted in so that you're not like, you can't hit the broadside of a barn. I need to go get some target practice with that thing. Well, I was going to cover a little bit of sturgeon tackle here. If you guys, they're vegetarian. Yeah. I'll cover a little bit of sturgeon tackle here, what I've been using lately and some new stuff that I found and all that. But I'll keep up with the comments here, Earl, because I'm definitely interested in the nutrient thing. So I did the sturgeon fishing how I like to do it, because there's only one way to do it, but there really isn't. There's quite a few different ways to do it, and this might apply to some of the fishing like what you do, Earl, or even Derek, if you've ever fished for heavier game fish such as like catfish or anything else. It's a very similar setup. Not that I'm an expert catfisher or anything like that. There's a lot of guys out there that that's pretty serious sport. But for myself, I found that a couple new products here, but I ended up, so I broke off some big fish, and I ended up, I went up to the 1/0 barrel. Hey, Shell, how you doing? Thanks for coming in. I'm talking about sturgeon fishing, and Earl and I are contemplating the next nutria catch and cook. So thank you for popping in, Shell. So I went up to this 1/0, and they're made by Bomac. They're barrel swivels, and I can't remember what the exact break strength is on them, but it takes a lot of force to break them. I mean, I've tightened them down and everything else, and got everything and did all that. But this new product that I just came across, and maybe it's been around a while, but the B&R, if you can see that there, the B&R Easy Sliders, these are the large black ones. And I've been using these for my weight sliders. Dave Eng had given me some that he actually got on Amazon. They worked really well. But one of the things is that I decided, because I wanted to start running larger weights, I went up to the Brad's Duolock Snap. And Earl, you're probably, I'm up to 3. I know, this is insane. This is great. I'm loving this. I'm just blabbing nonsense, and you guys are having one heck of a conversation. But I am very thankful that all of you are here. It's so cool to have everybody here and be able to do my thing here. I'm gonna have to figure out how to do the where I can drop the link and do all that stuff, and maybe before the next one, Earl, I can just talk to you and see how you do all that stuff. I'm sure you got that figured out. But anyways, on this line lock slider, so I found these sliders, and so today was the first time I tested it out. Went out there, got my fish for the day. That's all that mattered. But I went over these dual locks, and the cool part of the dual locks is that they just snap around these guys, and then you have your sliding weight. But these dual locks are 85-pound brake string. So if you hang up on the bottom, and this was one of the problems I was having, I was using the Bomac snap swivels in the 1/0 size for my lead, and I was having problems with that wire straightening out. So I went to this 85-pound. That way I could really reef on it with my, sturgeon rod, 85-pound braid and all, or 80-pound braid and everything else. And this actually worked out pretty good. A lot of sensitivity in the line. So I was like, all right, cool. So yeah, B&R is making these easy sliders, and they make them a bunch of different sizes. But for those of you guys that are actually out plunking bait, I know maybe not for you, Earl, but I could also see this being applicable to trolling for coho offshore if you didn't want to use like the VIP line locks. I just think that you'd have a lot of movement back and forth, especially if you're running a pro troll or something like that. It might not work the best, but it might be something where it's actually fairly cost effective. Not that VIP Outdoors, I can't talk. They are actually a really great company, and Pro came into the tackle shop yesterday when I was in there and got to talk to him for a little bit. He's a super cool guy, so he makes some great products for all of us salmon trolling guys. So can't wait for that to come back. Tell you what. So I was doing that, but I've noticed also later in the season, I've went up to the Gamakatsu 8/0 octopus hooks, and I had one actually break Sunday. Oh, you use all triangles. Okay. So these may not be a bad option on those triangles. And I'll test fire them during springer season in the river. I'll let you know how they work. Everybody's on the VIP thing, and I understand that, but I think that these would work really good, especially with that on the chain swivel on the terminal side. If it pops up and down, they do that. But yeah, I think for 25 of them, it was $9. So if you're looking for a little bit of a deal, I thought they were pretty good. And B&R is a local company. They make some really cool stuff and all that. So these 8/0 barbless, I'm going to shift over to the owner in the non-stain. These ones are the stainless steel ones. I pre-tie all my own leaders. Another shout out to my friend Dave here, the fishing leaderboard. If you guys haven't seen these before and you like to pre-tie your leaders, let me move it over here. These are awesome. This foam, I mean, it's getting a little rancid. I'll tell you what, my sturgeon bag's bad. It smells bad enough to scare a buzzard off a manure wagon. So it's getting pretty ripe. I'm going to have to hit it with about 30 gallons of lemon joy and I don't know what else. But anyways, yeah. So I pre-tie all these, but what I found that was odd about these for being a stainless hook was I was starting to get some rust formation up on around the eye. Like this one here has that. Hey, what's going on, Jake? Thanks for popping in. Wow, we got 4 people. This is incredible. Jake, I'm talking about sturgeon fishing. Is perfect timing. You may have to wind back, but throw the questions out there. I was just talking about sturgeon leaders, hook sizes, stuff like that. So thank you for stopping by, Jake. I really appreciate it. Super cool. Love to get out fishing with you sometime for sure. Nonetheless, using these 8/0 hooks, I haven't had any issues, regardless of small or big sturgeon taking the hook and actually hooking and hanging on. The hook penetration's been good. It's been getting right into the meat of them. I've had some actually swallow that hook, which I went up to the larger size to avoid that. Mason, the kid that was in that last video that I just released, we handed him off a fish, and that was the one where we thought it was tail hooked. It wasn't tail hooked, but it had swallowed that 8/0 hook and the whole herring all the way down into its clam crusher, which is it's a big muscular part in the back of the sturgeon's throat. They can go over a clam bed flat and vacuum razor clams, and then they can crush them up and they eject the shells, and they get one heck of a dinner out of those, I'll tell you what. But they took that 8/0 hook and a whole green label herring all the way down the throat. That was tricky because it wasn't a sturgeon that was big enough. No, it actually did the death roll. So that fish death rolled around the Dacron. I'll talk about line strength for this reason in a second, but it death rolled around it because Cameron was helping Mason hold on to the rod and helping, because Mason's only about 80 pounds. We didn't know if we had a 20-pound fish on or, a 200-pound fish at the point that we had the rod in his hand, and ended up being about a 15 to 18-pound sturgeon, somewhere in about the 30-inch class range, what we'd call a shaker. But it had swallowed it all the way down. I shut the camera off at that point because then it gets kind of ugly. You can't get your hand down into their clam crusher. It's not like an oversized sturgeon, like a couple videos back where Stephanos, he got that. It's like a 7-footer. It was a monster. And we get it up next to the boat. Dave gets it by the mouth. He pulls it up and shoves his whole hand down its throat. And he's got his hand back in the clam crusher trying to work that. It was a 9/0 owner that thing took in. He got that out. But the problem with that is when you can't get it out, the fish will eventually pass the hook, but I want one that's going to rust. And so owner does make a large barbless hook. And so that's what I'm going to switch over to, because there again, the corrosion on the hooks that I have now, it's telling me that these aren't truly stainless. And is it going to really make a difference one way or another? Probably not. So I'm going to switch over from the Gamakatsus. They're razor sharp hooks. I love them for a lot of different purposes, but I'm going to go over the owner SSW in the 8/0 and 9/0 range, and hopefully a 9 or a 10/0. They just get the head and they're like, oh, what's that bone? And by that time my rod tip's doing this, and I setting into it. So yeah, it's kind of an interesting thing. And then the last thing, and going back to note that video, earlier in the season, I was running that 80-pound Dacron, tough line Dacron, and this stuff's great. There's a lot of different. We're up to 5. Who else is here? Type in the comments. Come on. Well, yeah, Shell, you've been here. It's been kind of popping back and forth. So we got Jake, Derek, Earl, Shell. Who else is here? We got a 5th person. Don't hide out in the background. Don't lurk. We got to know who you are. Yeah, and hit the thumbs up, please do. So yeah, this tough line, I was running 80-pound. Believe it or not, had a fish wrap up. The scoot cut the 80-pound, and I saw it happen. It was next to the dock. Wasn't recording or anything because it's just one of those things, and so it actually sliced through the Dacron, and so I said, have the heck with it. I went down. I bought 2 25-yard spools, so 130-pound. It's not me as far as I know. I did a test run on my phone. Oh, can't catch fish. I don't know. You must be new here. Oh, it's Terry. I don't think I've ever met Terry before, but Terry, thank you for stopping by. I appreciate it. This is awesome. I can't tell you guys how much I appreciate you all coming and spending part of your very important Friday evening here and hanging out. So super cool. Terry, I'll have to make sure. I believe I'm subbed to you. Let me take care of this business really quick. and do that. Looking for the channel. Terry's done some sturgeon fishing. Sweet. And Terry, if you have more advice to add, go for it. Let's see. Let me pop into. There we go. Okay. I just subscribed to your channel there, Terry. Thank you for stopping in. No, that's okay, Terry. Still, it's worth the subscription because we have a really cool community here. And hey, Ted, it's Ted. Ted's here. What's going on? We got all the cool people here. Right on. I've been checking out some of your stuff, Ted. Also, the Florida trip and all that. That's super cool. You guys are having a great time down there. Anyways, so stepped up to 130-pound Dacron. Boom, big stuff. Haven't lost a fish since. The one thing that I did have a issue with, though, because of the size of my sturgeon rod that I was running, was so on the ugly sticks, the big waters, they don't have a ceramic insert in the eye. So I was getting a ton of line abrasion on the tip, especially fighting big, heavy fish. So I had to flip the line on my reel. And so I went ahead and did that. And that helped out a whole bunch. But ended up picking up a new reel yesterday from my buddy Mike down at Fisherman's. All of us talking about catching fish. I like listening to Earl talk about how nutria tastes like chicken. That's the best to me. I love it. So I got a Penn Spin Fisher 4. Now I'm trying to remember, Earl, jog my memory, and I don't know if Jake, you've been on the Umatilla too. Oh, so Jake, I'm going to tell you right now that specific area, I call it the lake. That's what it's been called. It's not been good. Something to do with the Kiewit construction has really messed everything up. Early in the season, where you saw those pictures early in the season, that's when it was really popping off. But the water discharge, so right now it's running, don't quote me on this, probably around 80,000 CFS over the falls. You can't get anything to pin down there. I've thrown out up to, and this is really maxing my rod out. 18 ounces was what I was throwing for lead, and it was getting flung like a rag doll. So I had to move to calmer waters downriver. So without just blurting out, because I'll gladly email you where it's best. I may have already did that, but mid and lower river has been far more productive. We'll just put it that way, than up in the falls area. But there again, the old standard, like I was talking about earlier when Earl first popped in, he was like, "Oh, hey, Brian's live." I've been going back to some of the more traditional sturgeon fishing areas, at least for bank access, anyways. And I went Sunday. I picked up a fish. Today I picked up a fish, but it hasn't been lights out off the bank like it was earlier in the season, like in September, October, when you had all those coho moving around and you had everybody like just, they were on top of the coho, and I had the whole river to myself with the sturgeon. And I pretty much still do anyways. It's not that super busy, but it's one of those things. um, we have a spot down lower in the river, Jake, that we go to, and there again, I don't. It's well enough known. We call it Jurassic Park, and so it gets its name for a reason. Early in the season, Jurassic Park. So Spilt Milk Productions, if you've ever seen his YouTube channel, super fantastic guy. He's also on iFish. If you guys ever go on the iFish forum or anything else, he put up a side scan of the slips, because there's multiple dry dock slips down there that the sturgeon that they go into, and you're when you go over it with your graph, it literally looks like this. The fish are piled on top of each other. So he goes into side scan, and he put these pictures up on iFish down at Jurassic Park of literally thousands. I'm not kidding, thousands of sturgeon all over the bottom of the basin, everywhere. And we had a day. Hey, Willie, how's it going? We got Willie Gray, the Great Outdoors. I know all of you guys are all subbed to each other, but if you haven't subbed to Willie, make sure that you sub to Willie. He's got a super cool channel. Yes, thank you, Earl. Earl is the man of the hour tonight because he's got the duties of moderator. But yeah, Willie's listening to rain. We're waiting for this impending doom of ice and snow. So super cool. But yeah, Jurassic Park was just absolutely stacked full. So Jake, whenever you get the opportunity, Earl, Shell, any of you that want to come, even Ted, if you decide to hop on a plane, you're like, I want to go catch sturgeon. Anybody. I have spots that are typically fairly productive. Yeah. Whether you want to bring your very luxurious boat, or if you want to go full hardcore and Ted is a mod. Sweet. If you want to go full hardcore and go in my drift boat out there with the little 8-horse motor and get battered by the elements, you just let me know. I can make any dream or nightmare come true on the river. Yeah, especially with a drift boat. That's definitely one of those things. But yeah, the Jurassic Park was on fire. Oh yeah, your boat will work fine. Yeah, I think you got a 23-foot Raider, so yeah, no problem with that. That's actually probably a far more comfortable boat to be on that river with, anyways. Most guys fish 18 to 20-foot boats, but Earl took his boat down to the garbage hole, and we went shad fishing. Didn't have any problems with Earl's boat. Had a problem getting right over into where all the fish were until there's a couple other folks. They moved, and we're like, well, let's just pull the anchor and move over. And we moved over there and got into a few more fish. Earlier that morning, though, I was fishing with my friend Mike off the bank, and I felt better about Earl making that long trek when I had 8 fish to throw in the freezer for bait. Oh, by the way, if anybody has shad bait requests of me, please let me know. What I will do this year is I'll drag my big, huge cooler down there, and as soon as I start hammering, then I'll make sure that everybody gets their load of bait. They're fun to catch, though, so it's almost like it's worth making a weekend trip. I'll keep my finger on the pulse of the run. That way, nobody makes a wasted trip. Hopefully, we can really stack them on. But for Jake, Derek, Earl, you guys that are out crabbing pretty hardcore. I know Steve would be into some. My friend Jim definitely is into getting some. I can go ahead and load a cooler. Well, you would think that you would need a 4570, Willie, but no. This place got named Jurassic Park because it's a congregational area for the sturgeon to come. Sturgeon being dinosaurs, ha ha. We're going to call it Jurassic Park. you know, because they're prehistoric fish, you know, and all that. Yeah. So, the shad will work for halibut too. So, I'll go ahead and make bait requests for crab and halibut and whatever else. And I know that my friend Jim was like, "Oh, it's excellent halibut bait," and I was like, he was like, "Before you freeze it, thread your line through it. That way, you know, when you hook your stuff up, it'll work." So I want to see how Jim does it. This may be a very good how-to video, especially for the halibut guys and all that stuff. So, you know, I know like Chasing Dreams, Jake, Earl, Steve, Jim, all that. You guys are all big into the halibut. So, well, I don't know, Earl, you don't do a ton of halibut fishing, do you? I know you stay usually pretty close to shore. Um, but yeah, the Jurassic Park area though, that's one of those things. When we took Steve out for springers, Jim and I did, and that video went ballistic. I after we caught that one fish. Okay, you've only done it with Steve. Well, I'll talk to Steve and see what he wants as far as shad go, because I'll make a concerted effort to get some together, and then it's going to be a phone call. Yeah, no, definitely, it's a lot of fun. It was fun going out with Jim during non-select when we had the flat ocean day. We went out limited out on Coho, and then we ran out to the chicken ranch, and we went out there, and I got a little chicken, and then we didn't get any halibut, but that's when we got that salmon shark. that was an interesting day. Stupid fish. But we got the spreaders back. We did do that. We got the 2 halibut spreaders back. We ended up with about 200 yards of line balled around its tail. It broke both lines off of both electric reels. So yeah, we lost a lot of line. We were able to salvage some, but that was interesting, dragging that salmon shark over the gunnel of the boat. They love to slam into halibut spreaders at about 250 feet and take off like a Ferrari. So it's definitely an interesting fish. But I'll probably do bait requests, all that. But if you guys want to come back up and do some shad fishing, well, we can sure give it a shot. I'm hoping this year's a little bit better on the shad run, which is really hard for me to say. Like, we didn't have that great of a shad run last year, but I'll definitely do bait requests, and we'll stack it on and do all that good stuff. So, but definitely going to be stocking up on herring here in a couple months. Oh, Shell, some of them get that big, but on average, the sturgeon that we're getting, and we don't weigh them, we don't measure them. See, Tyson. Oh, thank you for stopping in, Tyson. I'm trying to see if I've ever talked to you before or anything else. But thank you. This whole live stream's been about sturgeon fishing. So hopefully if you go back and you watch a little later, you'll get some of my stuff just talking about tackle and a couple of the tips. Yes, herring is tons of fun. I got my sabiki rigs up here. Oh, and we have the Saltwater Sportsman show coming. And I don't know if you go to that, Earl. Jake, you might go to it. And I think Scott Chasing Dreams probably does. Steve does. I do. Jim does. My guide friend, Logan Ellis, Chicken Little's Guide Service, he's always down there hanging out too for a little bit. I think he just goes down there to see what he can spend money on. And then he's like, and then he takes off. Maybe picking up some B2 squid or a couple other things. So, first timer, new subscriber. Well, thank you so much, Tyson. I really do appreciate it. I love it when I get to know all of the different people that are out there. I don't want to just be like faceless and be like, oh, well, look at me, I'm catching fish. You know, I honestly want to see people come and talk and have a conversation. So super cool. Thank you. But yeah, we have the Saltwater Sportsman show. But that one would be a good one. Derek also, another great opportunity. They have a lot of cool stuff. Tackle Time Bait and Charters is typically there, and they sell a lot of bait, of course. But you know, since we all like to go out and jig for herring. That's one of those things. So the bait topic of sturgeon, definitely get what you can for free. The herring, I ran out of all my blue and black label herring, which is you know, what I was really looking for. I was really looking for that, and so I've been stuck to green label herring. Well, it's been working. When nothing else is working, it's working. But definitely need to get out and get some bait. One thing I do want to try for this year on the sturgeon is intentional targeting of the oversize. I want to get some of those whole shad when they start coming in, and we have a deadline in the Willamette, from the Lake Oswego Railroad Bridge upstream to the falls. They shut down sturgeon fishing from May 15th to September 1st. And that's specific here. We can still go target them down like at buoy 10. And then they get really shallow down there during the summer. So you can actually, in certain circumstances, according to legend, apparently you can see the sturgeon tailing in the mud flats. My number one bait for dinos has got to be herring. Any kind of herring, that's my number one, because the scent is so versatile. The meat is so versatile on them. It just, herring catches everything. Herring catches salmon. Herring catches sturgeon. Herring catches lingcod. Stupid yellow eyes. Hey, Logan, here's the guy right here, Logan Ellis. I was just talking about you real quick in the Saltwater Sportsman show. I said that, I go to that, and my friend Jim and Steve, and I said, Logan goes there and he probably looks for stuff and then decides like, maybe there's something, maybe not. So if you guys haven't checked out Logan's guide service, go check it out. I usually fish with Logan at least twice a year, if not more, when he has a spot open or something like that. He's always been very generous to me, so I can't thank him enough. Fantastic friend, extremely fishy person. If you've never caught a steelhead before and you want to learn how to steelhead fish, get a hold of Logan, pay the money, go out on his boat. It's worth every single dime and nickel that you spend. If you want to learn how to effectively troll salmon in a river, get a hold of Logan. It's worth every dime you're going to spend. You're going to have a great time. He's got a super comfortable sled. He's got a brand new drift boat. Go check him out. I have to credit him with quite a bit of fantastic content from this fall, because without him, it probably would have been a bunch of bass, to be honest with you, whatever I could get on. And thankfully, Logan was there. So, Logan, thanks for popping in. Super cool. Willie, yes, I have ate herring. I worked at a fish market when I was 18, and they had like where you could scoop out like the pickled herring and all that. And so I went and I scooped out. I ate some of it. I was like, I don't know what the appeal is of this. It didn't hit it right with me. Now they had like, yeah, no problem, Logan. Hopefully, when hook you up with what, Earl? He'll Earl will come back around here. But anyways, yes, I've ate herring. No, I didn't like it. That's the short answer. Give me oysters, razor clams, crab, any one of those. Oh, a local guide. Well, you got those boys down there on the Umatilla 2 wrapped around your little finger there. You got oh, those guys, you do a lot of good videos with those guys though, Earl. That's always a lot of fun, because you get all the people that don't fish a lot and all that, and they're over there like, hey, I got a rockfish. Yeah, fishmonger. Yeah, Derek. So but anyways, yeah, I don't think I was a fishmonger. I was more like a seafood case guy. I did fillet salmon that were already dead, and So what else do I specifically target to eat? Logan, yes, I will be fishing in the snow this weekend. Willie, my main fish that I do target to eat, any kind of saltwater bottom fish. So that's to include lingcod, rock bass. And when I say rock bass, do I have my species chart? Hold on one second. Just because I'm so well prepared here. Any one of those can be a rock bass. Any one of those can be a rock bass. Well, with the exception of the lingcod, the cabezon, and the kelp greenling, all that. Logan, I am going to fish in the snow this weekend. I went down and I banged a 4-footer this morning out of the river. It was actually by accident. Well, not by accident. I was actually fishing for it. So I guess everything worked out right. But I got it in 18 feet of water just as kind of a fun reference. So I threw a whole herring out there and hooked up on him. I thought it was a pike minnow at first again because the way the rod was, but that was actually the fish with the 8-ounce weight dragging it across the bottom and hooked up. So yeah, I'm going to go probably tomorrow morning. River's getting in shape up here. I'm not going to drive too far though. I got this new truck and I'm like, I don't worry about my ability to drive. I just worry about other people's abilities to drive because yeah. Once you've dealt with insurance in a totaled vehicle, it changes your perspective on how much risk you want to take. And I'll just leave it at that. So Willie, yeah. So one of the cool ones, and some of these we can't retain, but Earl's put up some great videos of that quillback rockfish up there. We have some really cool looking rockfish here, but we can't keep them. And then we also have the infamous yellow eye rockfish, which is responsible for blowing up a cold water reel on me. Actually, 3 of them on shrimp flies by 3 arches. They took the shrimp flies and just absolutely thrashed it. Yeah. Are you going to be out fishing in the snow this weekend, Logan? I imagine you will be. You sent me some pictures of very motivating fish. I think our river's going to be in the right shape. One of the local bankies, he took his castable. So get this, guys. They make and I didn't know anything about this, but they make a castable sonar that looks like a little black ball, about like that big. And he goes out, he hooks this thing out into the eddy. And I'm like, what is he casting out there? Because he's over there. He's got like a cigarette hanging out of his mouth. He's one of the old crusty guys, super cool guy, super nice. But he's like, I'm going to find those fish, And so he casts this thing out. And he's doing this, and he's got the rod, and he's looking at his phone. He's like, oh, nothing there. He reels up. Oh, you canceled? I know. Yeah, the river's going to be prime. Yeah. But I think down in your area, you guys are going to get hammered with ice. From what National Weather Service said, it looked like Corvallis was going to get like 1 inch to 1.25 inches of ice. It's going to be a lot. I think you'd be okay once you got down to Siletz, but I don't know about going over the highway there. I know you'd probably be okay with your rig, but that ice is just, yeah. I've seen too many bad things happen with it. But anyways, so he's casting out this castable sonar. I'll pop back. Yeah, definitely. It's going to be good next week. You guys are going to get into fish. So yeah, he's out there. He's drifting this thing down. All of a sudden, his phone goes zzz, 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 and he's buzzing. And he picks up his phone. He's like, "Oh, there's all the fish." I was like, "Oh, can I check that out?" He's like, "Yeah." And he shows me. So there's a boulder in the river, and there's about 7 arches sitting behind the boulder, and they're suspended. This is about 15 feet of water. Well, what suspends in 15 feet of water and hides behind a boulder? Steelhead. So I'm feeling pretty good about the prospects this weekend. If we have them holding in as heavy a current as they were holding in that section, um, it looked pretty good. So Trib River around here is on the drop. Gonna go see if I can't go play with a couple steelhead. I still feel like it's too early. I can't get down to the coast where I want to go. But there again, obviously, Logan, it kind of did that thing. So, but wow, we're coming up on an hour, guys. Okay, so Dan said he's going to start making the crank handles for those reels. Okay, perfect. If you guys didn't know, Willie, he does a lot of vintage reels. He rescues them and he gives them a new purpose. That's really at the heart of what Willie does. And so he's got a friend. His name's Dan Selvig. He also has a channel as himself, doing vintage reels and fishing with them, just like Willie does. Well, I happen to have a couple old Shakespeare bait casters that were gifted to me, and the handles just kind of crumbled and fell off. So exciting news! Dan is making those reel crank handles, and so I'm excited to get those in action. The only downfall is that I'm southpaw with my casting retrieve, so they're right hand, so it's going to kind of be like, I'm going to have to figure out how to cast those. So yeah, but well, everybody, it's 8 o'clock on a Friday night. I think for everybody here, can you make me a mod? So let me get on here. So everybody that's on this, unless you don't want to, I'm gonna make you a moderator. Which, if you don't know what that is, it basically means that you can like share channel links. You can access other channels, stuff like that. Like what Earl's been like the man tonight. He's the main moderator. I can't thank Earl enough. I mean, here I am, little me, and here's Big King Earl over here doing all this stuff for me. It's absolutely fantastic. Thank you, Earl. I appreciate it. Let me get over here, Hitch or Jake, and make you a channel mod. So I believe that I can go in here really quick. Let's see. I should add as moderator. Okay, you should be a moderator now. Shell, you should be a moderator. Willie should be a moderator. And the reason why I'm doing this for everybody is so that you can go to other channels. So if we have folks that pop in that Earl hasn't changed or did anything with, you can go over there. Or if Earl's not available when I do a live, then any one of you, Derek, I'm going to make you a moderator. I'll go ahead and make Logan a moderator, even though I think he bailed. He's probably like, If he hasn't, Logan, I'm making you a moderator as well. So if you wanted to go check out any of these other folks, Tyson, I'll make you a moderator too. And I can't thank you enough for the sub. Super cool. Let's see. I believe, yeah, Ted should be, I think that's everybody. Yeah, Ted is. Oh, and then Jake, I'll make your brother a moderator as well. All right. So anyways, guys, thank you so much for coming and checking this out. Thanks for always watching my videos. I watch everybody's videos. I don't always comment all the time, but you can guarantee every time I get an alert for a short, anytime I get an alert for a video, I watch the video and I at least like it. Sometimes I watch it on this PC. This is my work PC, so I'm using it for now just to do this live. I'm gonna get a different PC. I had my own. It decided to do the computer thing and the happy dance and committed suicide, which maybe I shouldn't say, but it killed itself. So it melted down and it just wasn't working good. Nonetheless, once I get that up and running, then I'll be able to actually do that. But usually when I work out in the morning, I'll be watching on this laptop on my Google account through work. So that's why I don't typically comment, because it's like a work thing. So it's Brian. That's how it's spelled. But anyways, guys, thanks for stopping in. I'm going to go ahead and kill this. Thanks for all the likes. Thanks for all the support. And I'll try to get in on some of your lives when I can. Unfortunately, Earl, I am working until 9 o'clock on Mondays, but I'm there in spirit for you. So I love it. So, all right, guys, take care. Have a great night.